Aloha, I'm Tyler Dos Santos-Tam, candidate for the Honolulu City Council District 6. Our district goes from Ward Avenue and Papakolea on the east to Kapalama Canal, H1, and Middle Street on the west. Our current city council member has reached the term limit, and so we'll be represented by a new council member after this coming election. I'm running to be a council member who will bring energy, vision, and aloha to tackle the tough issues that our community faces. I was born and raised in the district, in Lower Alewa Heights, on the same street as Natsunoya Tea House, and I've served on the Liliha Neighborhood Board for 6 years. I have my own small business, and I've been a leader in a number of community nonprofits. I'm ready to bring my experience as a lifelong resident of our district, a longtime neighborhood board member, and as a community leader to take on tough issues like crime, homelessness, and affordable housing. On crime, I'll focus on recruitment and retention to fill officer vacancies at HPD, support and expand our neighborhood watch and community policing programs, and work with the prosecutor's office to crack down on repeat offenders. On homelessness, I'll work to grow the Mayor's Core program beyond Chinatown to address encampments in our neighborhoods, secure more Housing First units to transition people out of homelessness, and collaborate with state and federal agencies to make sure that we get every dollar we deserve to address homelessness. Finally, on affordable housing, an area where I've been an effective leader and advocate, I'll work to incentivize construction of long-term affordable rental units, ensure that our city's development plans create housing for locals first and foremost, and break down the regulatory barriers that hinder affordable housing production. There's so many other issues that I hope to be able to address, including tackling monster homes, supporting our small businesses, and improving our roads and infrastructure. Please visit my website at votetyler.com for more information. In closing, I'm Tyler Dos Santos-Tam, candidate for the Honolulu City Council, and I humbly ask for your vote. We deserve effective leadership that gets the job done. I promise to serve you and your families each and every day to get results, take care of problems both large and small, and be responsive and accessible to everyone in the community. Mahalo nui.
Aloha, I'm Nalani Jenkins, and I'm a candidate for Honolulu City Council District 6. Mahalo to ʻŌlelo for this opportunity, and let's talk story. First, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. You might recognize me as one of the founding members of Na Leo Pili Mehana. I've played music and written songs my whole life, but I've done a lot of other things too, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my background. So I grew up in Waialua, and at a young age, I got into Kamehameha schools in kindergarten, and my parents, Jack and Betty Jenkins, told me, you know what, Nalani, you need to go live with your grandparents in ʻAlewa because it's a lot closer to school. And so I did. I've lived in District 6 for most of my life. My grandparents were Richmond and Nalani Ellis, and I was privileged to be raised by them in their home in ʻAlewa. It was at Kamehameha that I met Angie and Lehua from Naleo. I met Angie in the 1st grade and then later met Lehua in the 7th grade, and we founded our band, and in 1984 we entered Brown Bags to Stardom with a song called Local Boys that I wrote, and we won Brown Bags to Stardom, and that created a long career, but also a friendship for decades that we were able to travel the world and make music. After high school, I got my degree in business from University of Denver. And I also, later on, got a master's degree in organizational leadership, strategic innovation, and change. And I know that's a kind of a long title, but I was always fascinated with business and also with leadership in organizations, big and small. And those degrees have really served me well throughout my various career experience. So I was a banker right out of college. I was a management trainee at Bank of Hawaii, and then became a branch manager of 2 branches out on the North Shore, Wailua and Haleiwa branch. I was a commercial loan analyst and a commercial lender. And what that meant was I was trained to analyze financial statements and corporate tax returns and understand budgets and cash flow. And I believe a lot of that training is very pertinent to the job of a city council member. Sony signed Naleo about 8 years into my banking career, and I decided to leave and go full-time. And Sony And Sony took us to many places around the world, specifically Japan. I managed Naleo's record label that the three of us started. I also did all the accounting and the marketing and the intellectual property management, contracting and booking. And so through the music industry for those decades, I learned so many things about people and places, but also about running a small business. And it was our friendship and our commitment to each other that I think really created that lasting quality of our record label and allowed us to record 24 CDs over the years we were together. I also worked for a large communications company that was local here, and then later started my own company doing community engagement, marketing, and branding. One of the organizations I do through my company, which is called 721, is called Make Music Hawaii. I helped found a nonprofit in 2020 called Be Hawaii that elevates Hawaii's people, and through Make Music, we elevate Hawaii's musicians. So why am I running? I get that question all the time. I'm running to serve. Just that. I'm not a career politician. I don't need a job. And I don't represent any special interest groups. My heart is to serve and to give back to the communities in Honolulu, especially in District 6, where I lived for most of my life. I believe I can make a difference and I can serve with integrity. And this is where my heart is at this point in my life. District 6 goes from Middle Street to Ward Avenue, Mauka to Makai. The neighborhoods are Kalihi, Kalihi Valley, Kapala, Malihi, Liliha, Nuʻuanu, Papakolea, Pauoa, Punch Bowl, and parts of Kaka'ako. It's a tremendously large area with a very diverse population. When I've spoken to the people in the district, they've told me their three issues are crime, homelessness, and affordable housing. So I ask for your vote so that I can get to work helping to solve problems and using my experience in this city council seat. My name is Nalani Jenkins. Our website is votefornalani.com. Check it out, and I humbly ask for your vote. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Karl Rhoads. I'm running for re-election in State Senate District 13, which includes Dowsett Highlands, Pu'unui, Nu'uanu, Pacific Heights, Pauoa, Punch Bowl, Palama, Liliha, Iwalei, Chinatown, and Downtown. While preparing my remarks for this recording, I reread the statement I made for candidates in focus in 2020. We were right in the middle of a pandemic and we did not have a vaccine. I spent most of my time talking about COVID and how we were going to survive it. I'm happy to say that this year I will be concentrating on other issues, some difficult, but none as troubling as COVID was 2 years ago. The economic rebound from COVID has been truly remarkable. After the tax revenue contractions caused by the pandemic, a 21% increase for fiscal year 2022 was a welcome relief. We spent the money well, including increasing the balance in the Emergency and Budget Reserve Fund by over $500 million to prepare for future contingencies. With my active support, the legislature appropriated close to $1 billion to address affordable housing concerns during the last two legislative sessions. $600 million went to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to build more housing, acquire more land, and provide rental and mortgage assistance to those on DHHL's waiting list. Another $328 million went to settle the long-running Kalima case, which resulted from the state's failure to live up to its legal obligations to provide land for DHHL recipients. In addition, in 2021, we appropriated $40 million to begin the Hawaii Public Housing Authority's senior housing project on School Street. This was my highest priority budget item last year. Retirees should not have to spend a fortune to have a decent living environment, and I'm excited that this project will be moving forward. This year we also added $20 million to a revolving fund that finances affordable housing statewide. It has become clear to me over the years that the private sector is not keeping up with the demand for affordable housing and is not making any real effort to do so. This is due largely to the amazing profits developers can make building luxury condo towers for part-time residents. Of course, on Oahu, space is limited, but that space constraint is severely exacerbated by the fact that so many wealthy outsiders want to spend time here in Hawaii. I don't blame anyone for wanting to be here. but it does have a negative impact on those of us who live here full-time and the prices we pay for housing. With my support, we also allocated $10 million to begin work on developing 600 units at Mayor Wright Homes. I have pushed for years to begin redeveloping this large, centrally located parcel, and I'm very happy to see us finally get serious about moving forward. The existing buildings are decrepit and not worth renovating, and they are well below the height limits currently zoned for this area. A nearby rail stop is planned, which will give many lower-income residents a transportation option that will allow them to live conveniently without a car, generally one of a family's largest single expenses. When I first ran for the Senate in 2016, I promised I would make women's health care one of my highest priorities. At the time, I viewed this as largely a matter of affordability and access to needed health care professionals, and I've done my best to keep that promise. I believe I'm still one of only 3 men to receive the Patsy T. Mink Award, which was for my role in passing a long-stalled emergency contraception bill. I knew in 2016 that it has long been a Republican goal to overturn Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 abortion decision that made having an abortion for any reason during the first trimester a constitutional right, and allowed for an abortion to protect the life of the mother at any time during a pregnancy. What none of us knew at the time was that President Trump would name 3 extremist justices to the Supreme Court who, in combination with conservatives already on the court, have ignored the usual traditions of the judiciary and reversed Roe v. Wade and ruled that abortion under any circumstances is not a constitutional right. This poses a challenge to women's health care that many of us have never experienced. Some states have already moved to ban all abortions. Oklahoma's laws allow for abortions in the case of rape or incest reported to the police, or if the mother's life is in danger, but it was passed in conjunction with the bill to make performing an abortion under any circumstances a felony with a possible 10-year prison term. My commitment to ensuring health care for all women includes standing up for abortion rights. Hawaii was the first state to legalize abortions in 1970 before the Roe v. Wade decision. Currently, I'm chair of the Judiciary Committee where bills on civil rights issues are referred. If you elect me again, I will do everything I can to be sure abortion remains legal and safe in Hawaii. It has been an honor to represent you in the Senate, and I humbly ask for your vote in this election. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Coco Iwamoto. I'm a Democrat running for State House. I'm looking forward to representing the Ala Moana, Kaka'ako, and downtown neighborhoods. I've spoken to thousands of my neighbors, and they say that the number one concern that they have is homelessness. Now, some are afraid of what they see, but many of us are simply brokenhearted. We look around and we see the contrast between all of the luxury condominiums in our neighborhood, and then we look on the streets and the sidewalks and the parks and we see the extreme poverty, and we know that we can do better and we must do better. We need to start by making sure we're offering enough temporary beds in the shelters to make sure that we can house those who are currently unsheltered. We know that we only have enough beds for 50% of them right now, and that's not good enough. We need to allocate more resources, more social workers to address this issue. And for as many families as we're helping out of homelessness, every day, more and more families are slipping into homelessness. We need to make sure that there's a hotline so that tenants or landlords can call and say, hey, I'm really concerned about this family. They may be slipping into homelessness in the next 30 days. Are there any social workers that can step in and offer them support or offer a subsidy to keep them housed, keep their electricity on and their water on? There's so many things that we can do to prevent people from entering homelessness, and that's number one. Number two is we need to make sure that we have mental health services, specifically inpatient mental health services, including drug treatment available. What we know is that at least 38% of all of the individuals self-identify as having a mental health illness. Now, they may be coping by using illegal drugs to mask the symptoms of their problem, but they are aware that they have an illness and they need help but simply the help is not being accessible to them. So we need to make sure that we contract with more providers so they get the help they need. And then when we find them permanent housing, they could be a suitable neighbor for the others in their building. So there's a lot of these issues that have very simple, common sense solutions, and we can pay for this by taxing empty homes. 40% of all privately held property in Hawaii are owned by people who don't even live in Hawaii. They're investments. And these individuals and entities are treating housing as it's a commodity and not a human need. So we need to change that. We need to disincentivize these out-of-state investors from using Hawaii in that way. And we can do that by charging an empty home surcharge for those who are keeping their habitable dwellings vacant. And we can, again, use that money to pay for social workers, for rental subsidies, to build more temporary shelters, to address these needs. Another issue that a lot of our neighbors have spoken about is corruption in the legislature. There's so much more that could be done. Number one, we need to make sure that the legislature complies with the Sunshine Law. The legislature has exempted itself from public scrutiny. They're allowed to make certain deals behind the scenes that aren't always in the best interests of the people. We also need to make sure that state legislators are fully held accountable as state employees. The legislature has exempted itself from the definition of a state employee, even though they currently get a paycheck, they get benefits, even pensions. So because they're employees, they should live up to the ethical standards of all state employees. I share all of these solutions and more on my website, which is kimcoco.com, KIMCOCO.com. There you'll find information about where I stand on how we can diversify our economy, how we can turn our food waste into compost and enrich our soil. There's also a button to register to vote. For those of you who aren't registered yet, you can just go to my website, kimcoco.com, click on the button, and it'll take you directly to the Office of Elections. And if you have a driver's license, you can register right online, and there's still time to mail you the ballot. So please tell your friends, family to consider voting for me, Coco Iwamoto, for House District 25. Thank you so much.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Carole Kauhiwai Kaapu, and I am a candidate for the State House of Representatives for Kapalama Heights and Kalihi Valley. I'm a concerned citizen who loves our community. I see the increase in crime, especially against our kupuna. I know how hard it is to buy food and pay for gas. I see our family and friends leaving Hawaii for a chance at a better life on the mainland. I know that we are struggling to survive. I want to be a part of changing Hawaii back to the values and aloha that I grew up with. I was raised here in Hawaii. My family is from Punalu'u. I have lived on the mainland and overseas, and I bring a fresh global perspective to our complex local problems. In our district, I have been a student at Maʻimaʻi and Kamehameha, an employee of New Hope Christian Fellowship Oahu, a small business owner, a full-time caregiver for my mother, a community volunteer on the neighborhood board with the Red Cross and the Lanakila Senior Center. I've been a renter, a homeowner, and a taxpayer. I know our community, my neighbors, and our problems. I'm a conservative in both social issues as well as financial issues. I'm for life from conception to natural death. I fully support traditional values and traditional marriage. I stand for faith, family, and freedom. My faith is my foundation. I've been called by Christ to serve people. I'm not a politician. I am a public servant. My vision for the future includes term limits for our legislator, like we already have for the governor and the city council, a smaller government that is accountable and operates with integrity and transparency, reducing the cost of living by simplifying our tax codes and our regulations for businesses and building homes. I fully support local small businesses because I believe our economic recovery will be driven by small businesses. I promise to vote against all tax increases, to make choices that are the best for the people of Hawaii and not any special interest groups, and to serve you, my friends and neighbors, with integrity. Going door to door, I've met such wonderful neighbors who have become friends. We are a very special community where people from all over the world have come and made a home. That diversity is what makes us strong. Help me be your voice in our government. If you'd like to learn more about me, you can find me on Facebook, Carole K. Kaapu, don't forget the E in Carole, or on Twitter and Instagram, @Carole Kaapu. My goal is to serve the wonderful people of Kalihi and Kapālama as their representative in the House. When your ballot arrives in the mail, please vote for Kaapu, Carole, Kauhiwai. Uamau ke ea o ka aina I kapono. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. Mahalo nui loa, kea kuapu.
Aloha, my name is John Mizuno. I serve as the state representative for House District 29. This includes Kalihi Valley, parts of Lower Kalihi, and Kamehameha Heights. I serve as the Vice Speaker of the House of Representatives, which is the second highest ranking position of the 51-member House. I've served as a state representative for 16 years. I wanted to share a statement by Vince Lombardi, one of the greatest coaches in the history of football. Coach Lombardi said, "The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their field of endeavor." As a public servant, I have tried to follow the words of Coach Lombardi. As I share some of my accomplishments, please know that it has only been through the grace of God. And I credit this to a partnership with a great staff, family, friends, colleagues nationwide, and a people from the district and the state who should be honored for these highlights in my life. I am a 2015 graduate of the most prestigious government leaders program in America, the Henry Toll Fellows Program. In 2008, I graduated from the Western Legislative Academy. This academy selects a small group of top legislators nationwide with a goal to train them to become our nation's leaders. Finally, I'm humbled to say that I've been awarded the Legislator of the Year 5 times. For education, I attained my doctorate in law from Willamette University College of Law in Salem, Oregon. I received my Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. For endorsements, I've been endorsed by the Hawaii State Teachers Association, the Hawaii Government Employees Association, the Hawaii State AFL-CIO, and IOWU Local 142. I wanted to share the just completed 2022 legislative session where we completed what I believe to be the most successful legislature in the history of Hawaii. First off, we closed Red Hill underground fuel tanks. The environment is our future. Our future is the environment. Regarding the war in Ukraine, this has affected all sectors of society. Fuel prices moving higher, cost of living at an all-time high, highest inflation in 40 years, the Fed's recently raising interest rates by 0.75, with another rate hike expected at their next meeting of the same amount. The stock market is moving downward, and I believe there is a strong possibility of a recession. Based on the following concerns, we, the legislature, passed policy to protect our people as follows. A $300 tax refund for people earning less than $100,000 per year. With working families and a dependent child or children, this could amount to a tax refund of $1,200 for a family of 4. A minimum wage increase, which I co-authored to help raise the pay for all workers. We funded $1 billion to build more affordable housing in Hawaii. We also funded $1 billion to get the wait-listed Native Hawaiian families off the DHHL wait list and into housing lots and homes. Regarding the 30-meter telescope, TMT in Mauna Kea, we actually established the Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority to protect the mountain, manage the lands, protect the environment, protect cultural practices, with science and education in balance, with the collaboration of voices at the table. This is democracy at its finest. No dictators here. The Oversight Authority will determine the future of TMT. I was also able to work with our colleagues to get an $18 million pay enhancement for all caregivers caring for Medicaid patients. I've always been a champion of these fine healthcare heroes, and I'm glad we got this done. Our legislative agenda for better community and state remains the focus to be on economy, healthcare, world-class education, affordable housing, protecting the environment, and public safety. My pledge is to work with you to make our state and district a better and safer place where our children will have the ability to reach their dreams. I believe in listening to many voices and issues through respect and relationships, cultural sensitivity, partnerships, and unity, working together to craft a rock-solid foundation of state policy where our people can achieve prosperity and security. Please call me anytime, anywhere. Always know that the doors of our office will always be open to you and your family because it's your office too. You are my employer, and I will always answer to you.